His love life is talked about all over the internet. He was on Dancing with the Stars, despite not being able to dance. He once wrangled a kangaroo with his bare hands.
I did what?
He's your favorite reality TV fuckboy reformed. He can make a woman fall in love at first sight. He is Harry Jowsey, boyfriend material.
What is going on, my loves? Welcome back to Boyfriend Material with your boy, Harry Jowsey. If you're watching this, we are 3 days away from Perfect Match Season 2 coming out. So make sure you don't judge me on there because I am a bit of a silly sausage. And if you're a fan of Perfect Match and you're just watching this for the first time, I'm so sorry for being a bit of a dingbat on that show. But I'm sure it's going to be great and I'm sure you guys are going to love it. I'm sure you guys are going to laugh at me being a silly sausage. But today I want to talk about my first ever heartbreak. I know, really sad. That sucks. I still think about it every single day. No, I actually don't. She's probably really happy and like married to someone who's successful and a lawyer or something like that. But my first heartbreak, you know, as we grow up and we're in high school, I feel like that's where we kind of have our first love and the first person, or what we feel like it's love. And being in high school, I was just a skinny little asparagus. I honestly looked like if the wind was blowing, I would probably end up in Madagascar. Like, I was that skinny, but I was just lanky. I was like Slender Man. I don't know why anyone thought I was attractive whatsoever. So we're going to give her a code name. We're going to call her Kelly. So yeah, I don't think I've ever been with a Kelly. Anyway, doesn't matter. But in high school, I went to this boarding school because I lived way too far away from the school that my parents wanted to send me to. And this was before I got kicked out of all the schools in Australia. So this girl, she was a little bit older than me, but we hit it off. And for some reason, we were on and off for like a year and a half. And she was so beautiful and so amazing. And like the first girl I genuinely really loved. But our relationship was very, very rocky, very like up and down, whatever, as kind of all my relationships are, I guess. But I just thought it was a little bit weird in high school. Like, she also lived so close to the school. So I would be boarding and sometimes I would leave boarding and go and like see her place and whatever else. And sometimes I would just show up to her house without being announced. I remember this one time I thought she was home, but she wasn't. And her family was there. And mind you, her dad used to be like a gang member. And her mum fucking hated me. So there's one day after school, I remember it like it was yesterday. I left school and I went to her place to go see her and hang out. And this was like when we were just trying to figure our shit out again and get back to being in good terms. And I just walk into her house and I'm walking around in her place. And then I text her. I said, "Wait, where are you? You're not at home." And she goes, "Yeah, I'm not." Like, I think she was at like volleyball or something, or netball. That's what you guys say volleyball. We have netball in Australia. But I think she was at netball. And I remember walking around her house and I got the weirdest fucking feeling. I'm like, someone's going to absolutely bash me. I just walked into this family's house. Turns out the dad and the mum were there. But I snuck out before they saw me. But I'm pretty sure it would have been a weird fucking conversation for them to be like, why are you here? She didn't tell us that you guys are good again. But anyway, throughout high school, me and her had a very like fun relationship. And I genuinely thought like she was the one. But it was also like, it got a little bit weird towards the end of it because she would tell me, I remember this distinctly. We had a massive argument about like what we were and what's going on and where we're going to be in the future. And it was kind of like when things were kind of dying down, our relationship was kind of finishing. She told me that like, I imagine that you're going to be working here and I'm going to be working here. We're going to have 2 kids. We're going to live in Brisbane. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be doing all this stuff. And at 16, she was like 17, about to turn 18. That was really terrifying for me. The fact that she had already named our kids. She already knew what work I was going to do. And she already had her whole life like mapped out and planned out, which in hindsight is probably like a really good thing to have. But I was like 16 and terrified. Like, I didn't have any muscles. I didn't have any meat on my legs. My brain was a quarter of a brain because it wasn't developed at all. I'm at half a brain now. So that tells you about what was going on in my life. But the reason why I bring this first heartbreak up is because after things ended with us and I went to school in New Zealand, me and her would stay in touch from time to time. And she wanted to do something that was so petty and really upsetting. And that was to try and fuck my brother. Now, I don't know if they actually did smash or not because I never got clarity on it. But what happens, I'm going to paint the picture for you and how I fucking found out that my ex, the love of my life, and my brother were canoodling. So we had a family holiday place in New Zealand, in this beautiful little town, middle of nowhere. And my brother was at university. My ex-girlfriend, I think she was at university in Australia at that time. And I was like finishing up my final year of school. And me and my brother never really had a great relationship at that point. Like, we're all good now. But at that point, like, we just would always clash heads. You know, two teenage boys just wanting to fight and see who's the bigger man. Obviously, I am. Well, I am now. I was a little bitch back then. But so it was our family time. We're all like, the whole family's back together. My brother's back from university. I'm back from high school. We're in the summer break. And I remember my brother left his laptop open. And I was sitting there beside my mom. And he left the room I think he was going to go see his friends or something. And he left his laptop open. And I see a message from my ex-girlfriend pop up. And by God, my stomach dropped out my butthole, because me and her, like, we were still in touch. Like, we never really, like, that flame never burnt out, but it was like slowly like dying away. Now, mind you, the messages that they were sending to each other were really fucking weird. Were really weird for, like, you know, my brother and the love of my life. Now, mind you, Charlie, if you watch this, I'm just bringing it up because it's hilarious. There's no hard feelings. But the messages were so fucking bizarre. And I remember sitting there with my mom, and she was reading them as well. And she got like icked out. She's like, I don't think we should be reading these. These are really bad. I was like, Mom, this is the love of my life. This is my sweetheart. And my brother, I don't know why they're saying this. So my brother was saying shit like, when you would come over and see Harry, like, I would be so mad because he doesn't deserve you and I deserve you, and shit like that was like going on between them. And they were saying like, I love yous and shit like that. And the weirdest stuff was that, he was trying to get my mum to book him a flight back home to Australia and to like spend time with us. But he was trying to convince my mum that he needed to stop over in Brisbane to spend a day or two there. And we couldn't figure out why. Like, maybe there was someone there, like, what's going on? Turns out it was my ex, and they were trying to like pull this like big master plan over me to like, I guess get some sort of revenge or something. Like, she was sitting there just, like, they were both enabling each other. Now, mind you, we were kids. It doesn't matter. It's all good now. But they were both enabling each other. Now, with that information, what did I do? Am I going to confront my brother? Am I going to confront her? Or am I going to drop it? Of course, I was a piece of shit. So what I did is I took a photo of all the messages and I printed them out. And I hit her up again and I said, look, Kelly, I love you. I know I let a good thing go, slip through my fingers. I'm coming back to Australia these days, so I'd love to see you, whatever else. Now, mind you, with all these fucking photos of the messages printed out, and I could go into more detail about how graphic the messages are, but I also, like, it's my brother. I love him. He's a sweetheart. He doesn't deserve any drama. But I printed all the messages out. I flew back to Australia. I was with my dad. We're in Brisbane. We're hanging out. And I told her, like, let's go get lunch. Like, let's hang out and let's see what happens. We end up sitting down at lunch. And, you know, it was going really well up until I brought out all the messages. I was like, you want to know why I brought you here? She's like, oh, we're going to get back together. Like, what's going to go on? I'm like, no, because you're trying to fuck my brother. What are you doing? Why would you do this? I'm absolutely heartbroken. I'm destroyed. I was a little bit dramatic. I didn't need to do that. I didn't need to lead her on. I didn't need to waste her time. But she also didn't need to try and fuck my brother. Like, that was really weird. So that was my first ever heartbreak. That was the first time. I think from that point forward, I was like, you know what? I can't really trust anyone, because as soon as you turn your back, they're going to try and smash your best friend or your brother. And that has also happened many times. I've had friends smash my ex, and my ex has smashed my best friends, just because, you know, they think that affects me, but it doesn't. And I don't cry about it. This heartbreak hurt the most at the time because, you know, I had little flings here and there throughout high school. But she was kind of like, she was, you know, a real woman, and she just had her shit together. She was so smart. I personally thought she was the most attractive person at school. Like, she was absolutely breathtaking, and we would just have so much fun. And she was like a bit of a weirdo as well, like me. So we would just have so much fun, always be enjoying each other's company. But that was why it was a little bit weird when I saw that she was messaging my brother, because I'm like, he's not as funny as me. That's just the truth. No, he's going to hate that. But I found it a little bit strange, and it really like threw me off. I'm like, you really can't trust anyone, because no matter how well or bad you are at the breakup or whatever, like people just want to get their revenge. And I thought it was strange from my brother. I was like, maybe, I don't know what his motive were. Well, she was really beautiful. And the thing is, that wasn't the first time that happened. He actually messaged another girl after that. After I hung out with her, I'm like, what is going on? I can't bring anyone home. I'm not even safe in my own home here. Like, this is crazy. My brother's a sniper. He's waiting outside my room, waiting for any girl to like slip up, which I thought was, you know what, shooter's gonna shoot, and I get it. Maybe that's why my competitive nature kicks in now, is because I've got a feeling like someone is waiting outside my door, ready to pounce on whatever human I've got in my place. But no, that was the one that really stung the most, because again, she love bombed me. I think it stung the most because, you know, she told me we planned our whole life together and all this stuff just for her to try and smash my brother. So anyway, how I got over that, pretty much I just slept with all her friends. So that, not all of them. There was a few. And I think that really like started my hoe phase throughout high school. And that was when I really like kicked things into gear. And I was activated. I was doing my absolute best to take my mind off it. And in hindsight, looking back, like people would tell me the best advice to get over someone is to get under someone. I don't necessarily agree. I just felt empty. And well, my tanks were empty, but I felt very empty and sad about the whole situation. But I hope she's happy. I know my brother's happy. I hope they're not together. That would be really weird. But I doubt it. I think I think my brother has a girlfriend, and I should probably talk to him. I should probably ask him. To the lady that was listening, I thank you. You really built my character. We had some very interesting moments together. First time we ever did anal, or only time I've ever done it my entire life. You hold that crown. So thanks for that. Okay, so now we're going to get into if it looks like a red flag. You guys have been really loving this segment where we go through your scenarios and I give a red flag, green flag, or beige flag depending on the situation. If you want to put your scenarios in, make sure you go to boyfriendmaterial.imunwell.com and submit them, because we will read them out on the show. Anyway, let's get into it. Situation number 1. Recently, I found out that my boyfriend, who also doubles as my neighbor, still works with his ex-girlfriend. I found out through my own investigation. Apparently, they're never on the same shift, but it still bothers me that he never told me. They dated for 2 years, and it was serious. I don't know if I should still be mad or not. I don't understand why he didn't just tell me. Is this a green flag or a red flag? I personally think this is a beige flag. Number 1, I think that he should have been honest. He should have been open and vulnerable and be like, look, you know, I've kind of got a rule now. When I'm getting involved with someone, I'm just openly, blatantly honest with everything that's going on in my life, because I just feel like, you know, I don't want to start off on the wrong foot. I don't want to be saying dishonest things or being sneaky or whatever else. I'm going to just be open and honest from the start, because then you wouldn't have felt blindsided. I think also it's his work. You know, he can't change it. He can't it would be silly for him to just quit just because his ex is there. I think it is a little bit strange that he didn't tell you, but maybe he was worried that you were going to get upset or something like that. Or he was worried that you were going to end up, I don't know, like quitting, making him quit his job. And that's not very nice. I think that how I would dance around this is I would just open the conversation in an open and honest way. Be like, hey, look, I did a little bit of investigation. I see that you work at the same place that your ex does. I'm curious, are you guys on the same shift? Is there something that's going on that I should be worried about, or is everything okay? I wouldn't come at it with like a confrontational manner, because I feel like that would just start a war, and maybe if there is something going on, he might just start like projecting onto you, and we don't want to do that. So I would just bring it up in an open, like easy way and in a calm, soft voice, so that it doesn't feel like, because it's probably on his mind as well. It's probably like at the back of his mind where he's like, oh, I know I probably should have said this or whatever else. Or maybe he just doesn't see it as a big deal because that ship has sailed and he's with you and he loves you and he cares about you. So I hope that helps. Number 2, is it a red flag if I write smut? What is smut?
Like written pornography.
Oh, so I don't know what smut is, but apparently that's like sexual stories where you're writing shit down, which is cool because like there's money in that and that's fun. And it's also like good to let your juices flow upstairs and downstairs, and to keep your, brain moving in like a sexual way. But I do have a crazy story. So I'm not sure if you guys saw on my Instagram, but I did this Netflix is a joke golf tournament with a bunch of like incredible comedians and all this stuff. And this really beautiful girl was liking all my posts and stuff like that. So I was like, wow, maybe I should just shoot my shot. I didn't do any investigation on her account. I just saw that she was gorgeous. In her bio was a bunch of things about her work, and she's like this sexual erotic writer. And I should have done investigation because there was no tag photos. Every post was from 3 days ago. There was no likes and no comments on it, and just a few story highlights, which I didn't really go into as well. But I was just so excited that I shot her a message, and I'm gonna see if I can find it. But I think I messaged her, I've got a question. And her response was, are you looking to add me to your roster, or you want to work with me? Which I thought was a bold strategy and a bold move. Now, mind you, I'm in a golf tournament with Jason Oppenheimer. I don't know. Is that his last name? Oppenheim from Selling Sunset, Becky Robinson, and this other comedian, Heather. And they're fucking hilarious. And we're having so much fun. But when she said that, it really threw me in a loop because I'm like, well, yeah, I wouldn't mind working with you, but now I'm confused why the roster. And my response was, to be honest, I don't really have a roster right now, and I'm not really trying to make one. I'm just trying to fall in love. But anyway, we started talking, we started going back and forth, and again, I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was like normal, fine conversations up until I sent it to my friends. I said, yo, does anyone know this girl? Because she's beautiful. She's got 200,000 followers. Surely someone knows her. Seems like she's in the scene somewhere. And one of my friends was like, you haven't looked at her post? All the posts are from like 3 days ago. And I was like, oh yeah, that is a little bit strange. But again, me being delusional and excited about a beautiful lady messaging me, I was like, I'm going to look past this. Now, where it gets weird was that she said to me, hey, can I write you a sex story so you can try something on a girl that you see or whatever else? And I was like, okay, sure. Now I had left the golf tournament and I'm driving home, and she sent me, I'm going to read it out word for word because it was really weird. I didn't read it because I was driving. I just responded with holy fuck and nothing else. So I sent it to my manager and I said, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this? This is the story. It says, beginner. I want you standing up in just tight underwear. Firmly grip her neck and stick your tongue down her throat. Then abruptly bring her down to her knees and grip her hair, guiding her to gently kiss along your V-cut. Make her slowly pull down your underwear and gently kiss along the full length of your sausage. She didn't say sausage, but I just don't want to say dick. Anyway, before you force the entire thing down her throat, as she gripped your bubble butt with her hands, rapidly stroke your sausage deeper and deeper down her throat until she begins to gag. I want you to be very vocal during this. Then quickly grab her neck and pull her up, once again, forcing your tongue down her throat. As her hands remain stroking on your big pulsing sausage, abruptly release your grip from her neck and pick her up, sliding your pulsing sausage inside of her walls. As you walk her over to the wall, slamming her back against it while locking lips and bouncing her cheeks up and down before moving into a rapid stroking pace. Then carry her over to bed and throw her face down on the bed. Prop her ass up, then slide your sausage back inside her walls while placing one palm down on her head into the pillow and mute her screams while you deliver rapid strokes. Then flip her over and climb on top of her, gripping her neck tightly while you stick your pulsing sausage back inside her moist walls, biting down on her neck to increase the sensation. As you spread each of her arms to the corners of the bed, your fingers are entwined. Then climb off the bed and pull her towards the end, lifting her legs over your shoulders while you grip her neck and deliver rapid strokes again. As you near your climax, climb over her head and deliver strokes within her mouth until you erupt and the excess flows from the corners of her mouth. Now, I sent it to my manager, said, hey, does this feel a little bit weird? And she said, I don't think a woman wrote that. I think a man wrote that because as a woman, you know, I want a bit of emotional connection. I want a little bit of foreplay. I want a little bit of fun. And she's like, the amount of time she said rapid strokes and aggressive, like forceful nature, she's like, that doesn't sound like, being a lady myself, that doesn't sound fun to me. So as soon as she said that, I was like, maybe this is a catfish. And I shouldn't have said holy fuck, because yeah, she responded with something light, and then I blocked her. So there's my story about someone trying to catfish me with sex stories. It doesn't really sound that fun either. Like, that doesn't sound like a good time for me. It's also like not really detailed, and their job is apparently an erotic novel writer. They probably don't sell many books, whoever this guy is, wherever he is in the world. So that's all to say that I don't think that's a red flag. I just think don't catfish people. And also, if you're going to write them, go into a little bit more detail and don't make it sound so forceful and scary. There's a lot of money in smut writing. I wish I could write smut. I feel like that would be good. It'd be good money. Yeah, we love our fan fiction. We love feeling freaky. So it's not a red flag. I think it's a green flag. Keep writing it, and it might spark some sexual fun between you and your partner. Okay, situation number 3. Harry, do you think it's reasonable for a man to ask you not to go to the clubs? We trust each other, and I would never consider being unfaithful, but he gets uncomfortable when I go out. Look, I think this is a beige flag. I think it goes both ways in this situation. If you're dating a guy and he goes out every weekend and you don't want him to do that, you have every reason to say, hey, brother, you got to relax. Like, it doesn't make me feel too comfortable in this situation. And the shoe's on the other foot as well. He doesn't want you to go out every weekend, whatever else. I think that if you're in a relationship where it's controlling, you don't want to be in that relationship whatsoever. Like, that's not fair on either party. You deserve to go have fun. And if you're not being unfaithful, you're just having fun with your friends. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I see both sides of it. I don't really want to date someone who's out every weekend and partying and doing all that stuff. I want someone who's like at home, locked in, focused on their goals, and wants to grow and build together, instead of like going out and partying, because you never know what could happen. I feel like if you get a little bit too drunk, you put yourself maybe in a situation where something could happen. It doesn't matter what way you look at it. It just may come out wrong and it may upset them. I think you should meet them in the middle. Be like, hey, I love going out with my friends. I love having fun, but I also love being with you. So is there a perfect world where I could go out maybe once a month or maybe every second week? But also like, just so it makes you feel comfortable? Or is there, if you want to continue to go out, is there things that I can do that make you feel a little bit more comfortable, whether that's like live updates or location or texting or letting you know like what's going on in the night? I just think it's a beige flag, because I get both sides of it. But it also depends. If you're at college, then you're going to be going out and having fun. It is what it is. But you also don't want to feel like you're being controlled, because that also builds up that resentment. Then after a while, you're going to end up wanting to explode and clash heads. But yeah, if this is more about him controlling you and telling you what you can and can't do, we don't want that. We don't want to be with people like that. That's not fair on anyone. And you don't need to be with someone who's going to control you and lock you down. He should also be understanding. You should also be understanding. And just, I think it really does go both ways. I've been in a relationship where the person was out like every second night, and there was a few things that didn't make me feel comfortable. Like, would go back to a guy's place and stay there, and then wouldn't tell me what happened throughout the night. All the stories just wouldn't add up. And it just really built that resentment, because I'm like, I'm trying to trust you, but you're kind of making it feel like I shouldn't, because you're not telling me what's actually going on. And it is making me feel a little bit crazy, because I want to check in. I want you to have fun. I don't want to be controlling. I want to be very laid back and enjoy you and trust each other. But when you do that, you Uber back to a guy's house instead of calling me to come get you, whatever else, it makes me feel like something else is going on that shouldn't be going on. And it turns out I was right. So you don't want to resent each other, but I think that there should be some boundaries for both of you where you can feel trust and care about each other. Well, I hope you enjoyed our segment of Red Flag. Please keep submitting them, because we love hearing your stories and we love to talk about them. So please submit them at boyfriendmaterial.iamunwell.com. I can't wait to hear them. And we're going to try and do all of them on the show. Okay, so now we're going to go rip from the headlines. This section, we talk about pop culture and what's going on in the world. And this famous golfer, Scotty Scheffler, was recently arrested and charged with assault. I didn't mean to laugh. After apparently injuring a police officer while trying to drive past the scene of a fatal car crash. What I understand is that he was meant to go like tee off, and he missed his tee off time. He went and got arrested, did his mugshot, and then went straight to the course. And everyone thinks he's going to be the next big thing. Personally, when I was golfing, I wasn't very good at it, so I don't really know the rules of golf. I don't know anything about it, but it reminded me of a time when I got arrested, and I've been arrested a few times, as I fucking should have been. The first time I got arrested, Me and my friends were being dickheads in New Zealand, and we actually were stealing people's like garden gnomes, and we went to this park, and we actually stole a fucking park bench, which was really crazy. We thought it'd be hilarious. It was like 1 a.m. Okay, I'm not telling the whole story. We broke into a restaurant. We stole all of their wine, and we were a little bit drunk. I know, and it wasn't like good wine. It was like cooking wine. We thought it was so funny. We stole this wine. I don't condone it. It was very silly. I feel very sorry for the small business. I was like 16 at the time, and I was hanging out with my friends in New Zealand, in a small town in New Zealand. So everyone talks. Everyone knows who's the naughty sausages. And it was me and my friends. One of our friends had a car, and we thought it'd be a good idea to drive around. We had a few beers, and we found this random restaurant. And we're like, you know what? Let's break in. Because one of them was like, I'm pretty sure there's wine here and there's alcohol and we can get into it. Maybe he worked there. I don't know. Why did they not have cameras? I got no idea. But we ended up getting into this restaurant. We found a bunch of cooking wine and we stole like boxes of it. And we thought it'd be funny to drink that, which it tasted horrible. It was the most disgusting wine I've ever had in my life. But that's probably like my karma, I guess, for stealing wine. It's going to taste shit. But anyway, we were already a little bit drunk before this. But we stole the cooking wine, we started drinking, and we were driving around like fucking idiots. And we went to a campground, and we thought it'd be a funny idea to just like move shit around at the campground. Like all these families, it's like New Zealand in summer. It's beautiful there. All these families like in town visiting. So we're at this campground. We would take someone's chairs from their camp and we'd put it over at someone else's tent. And then we'd pick up maybe their like esky, what do you call it? A cooler bin, a chili bin, whatever, a cooler. We'd take a cooler and we'd go put it at someone else's campsite because we were like, you know, when they wake up in the morning, there's going to be so much fucking beef. Everyone is going to hate each other, but like we obviously weren't there to see like what kicked off. But we thought we're just being like little nuisances. And then we drove to this park. Now, mind you, this is like 2 a.m. in the morning. Like it is pitch black. We had stolen a bunch of gnomes from like doing drive-by gnome stealing. And we went to this park and we saw a park bench and we climbed it. There was like 4 of us. We brought it and we climbed on top of this rock and we put it on top of the rock. And then we thought it'd be a good idea to like chuck it off the rock. And we did break the park bench. It wasn't very smart. But the scariest thing with that is the police. Someone tipped the police off after we broke into the restaurant and I guess stole and moved people's chairs around. So we could see their flashing lights going up and down the valley, trying to figure out where the fuck we were. So we were hidden in this random park, trying to get away from the police. So they end up like driving by, continue to go down on the hunt for us. We then drive to this random part of the town where there's a bunch of houses. Now, mind you, I'm thinking 3 a.m. No one is going to be awake. No one's going to want to, like, no one's going to catch us. We park our car down the road. It's filled with all this loot that we stole from the restaurant and random places and all these gnomes in the back of the car. And we're running down the street, picking up every single gnome and whatever else. There was someone awake. There was some older gentleman, which thank God he was awake, drunk at his house, and he saw us knocking over mailboxes, kicking shit, breaking gnomes, stealing gnomes, doing all this dumb shit as kids do. This guy comes out of his place with a staff, like a massive stick, like he's on Lord of the Rings. And he is chasing after us down the street. Now, mind you, I am built like a string bean. I have no leg muscle. I have no sprinting capabilities. I am the slowest person on the planet. Like I may as well be walking. That's how slow my run was. So this guy catches up to me pretty fucking quick, but I thought it'd be a good idea to try and like jump into a bush and hide. Again, I'm drunk. I thought it'd be a good idea, but me jumping into a bush was pretty fucking obvious. So he saw me pretty quick. He said he already called the police. The police were on their way there. He actually smacked me in the head with his staff. Like he held it up to my face like that and just popped me in the face. And I remember my head going back and I was like, holy shit, I'm going to die. This dude's going to jump the shit out of me. I was so scared and absolutely petrified. We ended up, the cops came. I didn't move because he was going to murder me with this fucking stick, which is crazy. I think he had like a Komodo on as well. It was very random. It was a very weird sight. My friends got away. I was the only one that stayed there. They end up arresting me. They took me into the police station. My friend's dad had to come get us because my parents weren't answering, which was really horrible. But that was the first time I got arrested. The second time I got arrested, we actually didn't get charged for anything, by the way. We were fine. Like they let us off. We just had to be like held for a little bit because they didn't find anything on us because they didn't open the boot of the car. They didn't check the car at all. Like, if you went in there, you would have seen all the wine, all the gnomes, and probably people's like letterboxes, or mailboxes, whatever you guys call them. But the second time I got arrested, we have this thing in Australia called schoolies, which is like when you finish high school, you go on a week bender essentially with all your friends, and like it happens at kind of like the major cities in Australia. So I was in Gold Coast, and it's the craziest time. If you are ever traveling to Australia, do not go around schoolies time, because it's fucking wild. There's just like young people everywhere just getting drunk, like probably drinking for the first time, getting crazy. It's like this big like music festival as well. Now, what happened was I was at the hotel with all my friends. We were pre-drinking, we were having fun, whatever else. We had a few people there. There was this girl there. She wanted to go back to her hotel, and she was waiting for a car, like a taxi. So I was trying to be a gentleman, and I went downstairs with her. I was waiting downstairs. This is broad daylight. I'm with my friends. Again, I've had a few too many drinks. So I see this massive like poster on the side of this like business, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I just like ripped that off the wall? And apparently that's illegal, and you shouldn't do that. So I ripped it off the wall, and right away the store owner comes out. He says, "Why the fuck did you do that? I'm gonna call the police." The security pinned me down. They were asking for my name, all this stuff. I got arrested. From that, got charged with willful damage, which I thought was pretty fucking stupid. I ended up going to it was the final night of schoolies. So like we had the most amazing week, and I had to go and fucking ruin the final day. So I went to the drunk tank. They arrested me. I was laying in there like waiting to be let out. I think I went in at like 3 p.m. and they let me out at midnight. The police station was so far away, like an hour and a half walk from my hotel. I also didn't have like my phone or any money, so I like had to walk back and like try and navigate my way through. But I'm pretty sure those police hated me because I kept hitting the help button, because I'm like, let me out. And then one of the guys is like, yo, I'm gonna keep you in here if you keep being a little fuck. So being in a cell was really like, it was really weird, because there was also like a bunch of adults on drugs there. I was trying to have a sleep race with one of these other guys. I was like, yo, who can fall asleep first, me or you? And then I would pretend to be asleep, and he was trying to sleep, and there's another guy in the corner doing push-ups, and there was another guy talking to the wall, and there was another kid from my school who also got arrested because he peed in public. It was a very like weird group. I was fucking terrified. That's why I kept hitting the help button. But then the police were also like in my face, like yelling at me, like I guess trying to break my spirit. And they did. I did have a mugshot. I did do all that stuff. And then I had to go to court. But thank God I called them before, and I profusely apologized. I said, I'm sorry, I was drinking, whatever else. Let me know. I'll pay to fix the damages, whatever else. It was only $400. And thank God I was underage, so it's not on my record. So yeah, don't get arrested, and don't go through a crime scene. So I am not that person anymore. I never want to be arrested ever again. It's really terrifying. I don't recommend it. Don't do any of these things that I said that I just did, because again, I was a young, silly sausage. I thought I was untouchable, but turns out I can be touched. And I mean, what? Why did I say? I did get touched. And it wasn't good. Anyway, Jesus. So now we're going to go into sex, dating, and relationship advice. These are questions that you've submitted that we will answer, and we will try and give you sound advice on. So we've got a question from Stella. She says, what do I do if I have a massive crush on a coworker? I know people always say, don't shit where you eat, but we have had our moments outside of the office where it felt like more. Once we stayed up to 5 a.m. at his apartment talking after a night out. Nothing happened though. I can't tell if he's just a nice guy or what. Do I wait for him to make a move? Do I make one? Also, please don't. I am the only female in the bullpen. What? Oh, in the office. Okay. God, it's silly. And you're right. Don't shit where you eat. And don't eat your shit. You don't want to do any of that stuff. I think it complicates things, especially if you're in a workplace. Like, that's your livelihood. I always try and separate personal life and business life. But then again, you got to see each other every day. If feelings going to naturally progress, maybe it would be a good idea to just be like, hey, look, let's be honest. I'm a little bit worried that if we continue staying up till 5 a.m., I come back to your place and we talk like this, we're going to catch feelings and things are going to naturally develop. But also, I don't want to fuck things up. I don't want to ruin work. And it's just a weird situation. And it's very tough because it could go great. You could date him. You could get married. Things could like progress naturally and organically. or it could really fuck up your work-life balance. Like if you don't really care about that job, then I would just say, you know what, let's just give it a shot and see what happens. I think you should make the move. Just let them know, like, hey, I really enjoyed spending time with you. I really love seeing you. I think you are a nice guy. I think you're special. But just be worried about HR. You don't want to end up like progressing and having sex in the toilet at work and someone catches you, because that probably wouldn't be good and you probably would lose your job. So I would just be a little bit more mindful. Would this fuck up my career? And is this a job that I really care about? But also like, just be careful, because you don't want to lose your job over the silly boys, because we suck. We're not very good. The only place that I could speak from experience is I did work in a call center when I was living in England, but it was a bunch of like sweaty older men, and I didn't really want to have a relationship with any of them. And I also feel like they hated me because I wasn't able to sell anything. I was there for like 2 months, and I was just calling people trying to sell them whatever they wanted to buy, and it never worked out. But also on the other foot, you know, my work is going on dating shows and being on TV. And I feel like, you know, I'm telling you this advice, don't date your coworkers, but it's what I like accidentally do from time to time, but it does ruin situations in the future. So I just think be mindful, just make sure you know what you're getting into. Just be careful. If you love your job, you don't want to do that. Next one is from Ashley. Hello, Harry. Congratulations on your podcast. Loving the episode so far. Thank you, Ashley. I wish I could give you a big kiss. In your third episode, you mentioned FaceTime sex, and I'm also curious on how to approach something like that. My boyfriend of 8 years has recently moved away for work. The plan is to take a step back from my career over the next year or so and eventually move over there with him. But in the meantime, I'm horny. We FaceTime almost every day. I want to initiate it, but I'm not sure how to do it. Do I need help? Okay. The biggest thing that like gets me in the mood when I'm on FaceTime, and you can test the waters with this, is like you just start feeling yourself a little bit. Like when I've had FaceTime sex, the other person on the other end of the phone will be like feeling themselves a little bit, or maybe it would just be like if you guys have a scheduled time where you know you're gonna FaceTime each other, maybe take a quick shower before it and just be like laying there in a towel, and like show a little bit of nipple. I think that's like a good way to initiate it, because it gets your brain like feeling a little bit horny. If you see like a little bit of sauce, you know, a little bit of like, oh, I wonder what's going on under there. Like maybe it's just like the top of your like areola. Is that the right word? Areola? The top of that. And you get to see like a little bit of nipple, and then your brain starts getting a little bit like horny and feeling freaky. If that doesn't work, I would like, if he's about to have a shower or something, be like, oh, just make sure you FaceTime me in the shower. I want to see it. I want to see him. I miss him. Do something like that. But I think like it starts with just slightly like implying to it. And then, you know, we're pretty easy to turn on. Our brains will start just going crazy, and we'll be like, I want to see him. I want to see the tatas. So I really hope that helps. Anytime I've been on FaceTime sex, it's kind of just like abruptly happened. It's never been like planned or whatever else. Like there was whatever. I'm not even going to say that story. She was driving. She shouldn't have been doing what she was doing behind the wheel of a car on a highway, but it just kind of happens. And you know, she was feeling herself. We got excited. She pulled over and she made a mess in her car. She shouldn't have sat on the gear stick, but it is what it is. Anyway, next one is from Enara. If you could give your 2020 self some advice about your love life, what would you say? Great question. In 2020, I was a silly sausage, and I was probably in my biggest like hoe phase ever. I think my biggest advice to myself back then was just be like, take a deep breath. It's not that serious. Relax. You don't have to go and try and be with everyone, and work on yourself a little bit more and learn to love yourself a little bit harder, because I think in that time for 2020, I wasn't really in love with myself as much as I should have been. And I was also trying to figure out my shit. So I think 2020 Harry, give yourself some grace, go to the gym a little bit harder, work a little bit longer on yourself, work on building up lifelong skills and building up yourself and your own confidence, and don't worry about falling in love, because I was so excited to be in love. Like any fucking chance I had at love, I would jump at it, and I would plan everything. I'd be so excited, and I'd want to do everything around love, and like I was just too ecstatic about love. So I think just relax. It's gonna happen one day. and it's probably going to happen when you least expect it. And I also realize when you're actively pursuing love and you're like, I want to be in a relationship, I want this, you kind of like push it further and further away. When you're focused and your energy's good and you're locked in on yourself, everything just comes to you and is attracted to you. So I hope that helps, Enera. Sophia, Harry, you mentioned breeding kinks on your previous episode, you naughty little possum, and it unlocked a memory of mine that I need answers to. A few years ago, I was sleeping with you. What? No. A few years ago, I was dating this guy in uni, and one time we were all studying at his place in a group, and he gave me his iPad to study. We would often use each other's devices, and it wasn't an issue. So I wanted to look up something on Instagram, and I clicked on his explore page. Tell me why there were a bunch of sexy pregnant lady pictures. I was super intrigued. So I did some more snooping out and found out more saved pictures of pregnant ladies in sexy lingerie and poses. I never brought it up with him, but I would subtly comment on pregnant women in public and be like, oh, doesn't she look beautiful? To try and gauge his response. He would also talk about how beautiful I would look if I was pregnant, even though we had only just met. We broke up pretty shortly after, but as a psychology student, I've always wondered what this meant. Is it a breeding kink? Is it about the woman being pregnant to someone else, or is it sexy in like a cuckold way, or what? I've never encountered something like this. You know what? Speaking from experience, I just think it's like, she's fertile. Like, that's awesome. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just, for some reason, maybe it's the hormones or what gets released. Like, I'm not like, per se, like if I see a pregnant lady, I'm not going to be like, come here, let me go down there. Like, not at all. Like, I just think more of a breeding kink is like just love filling up, you know, and just trying to pretend that we're getting there and saying crazy shit throughout sex. I actually don't know what has gone wrong or gone right in this guy's life for him to be saving pregnant photos of people. I feel like if it was my wife and the love of my life and she was pregnant with our child, like, I would find that insanely attractive. Like, I would just love the fact that we're building a family, and I would be turned on by that. I probably wouldn't be turned on by like other people's pregnant girlfriends or wives. So I don't know about that. And you're a psychology student, so you should probably know a little bit more about this than I do. Sophia, since you're a psychologist, I would love to hear you write a paper on this, on why this is a thing. Or like, is there something that's triggered us in our childhood that has made us like be super interested in this stuff? Because I actually don't know why, but I just love like a breeding kink. I just think someone called me out on it one day and I was like, you know what? I think I probably have that. I would love more answers on that as well. So if you find something out, please let us know. Submit another thing. All right. Question from Holly. How do I tell my boyfriend that I know he fucked my sister the other night? Holy shit. Jesus Christ. Well, you know, we were kind of talking about something similar. Again, I don't know if they ended up smashing. Do we want to be petty? I think if we wanted to be petty, let's have a family dinner. Like, hey, mom, hey, dad, my boyfriend's going to come over. Like, I want to have a family dinner. Everyone sit down and just be like, guys, you know what would go well with this pork roast? Is some tea. Hey, did you guys fuck the other night? Like, what's going on there? And just really make it awkward. But then again, it's probably not a good idea. Personally, I would just be honest and I'd say, look, I think what you did was disgusting. You know what you did. Try and catch him out on a lie. If he doesn't own up to it and fess up to it, just cut it off. You don't need people that are sleeping with your sister. And also, like, your sister's probably not a very nice person if they're going to fuck your boyfriend. I don't know how long you guys were together. I don't know what's going on. But I would tell my sister. To be honest, I would tell my parents. Like, yo, she's got to go. Kick her out. She needs to be evicted. She's fucking everyone's mans. She's a home wrecker. And now she's in our home, wrecking our home. Yeah, I think I'm too close to the situation to really give a good answer because I know what I did and that was very petty. And it was not mature, but I was also 16. So, like, of course, I'm going to be immature little brat. I feel like my brain is now finally getting mature. Not really. I'm working on it. So, I just think sit down, have a family situation, and just put it all out on the table and really make it fun. Anyway, that was it. That was fun. I hope you enjoyed the answers to your questions. Please keep writing them in at boyfriendmaterial.imunwell.com and we will keep answering them. There was a lot that went down today, so I'm glad we got to go through that. And I hope you guys learned something about today's episode and the things that we've discussed. You know, the biggest takeaways: don't get arrested. Police are really scary and we don't want anyone in trouble. Don't steal gnomes. Don't get hit in the head with a stick. It doesn't work very well. If your brother is trying to sleep with your ex-girlfriend, probably handle that in a different way. Maybe go to take some Muay Thai classes and give him a leg kick, and just, yeah, you don't, like, it doesn't, no one needs any of that drama. And also, like, you know, don't be petty and print out the messages and put it on a table in front of her. It's not very nice as well, because you might end up sleeping together again, and you might look her up on Facebook and realize that she's still beautiful, and you might have to DM her. So you don't want to do any of that stuff. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Please subscribe to Boyfriend Material on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you're listening to your podcasts. And also, Perfect Match is coming out very soon. So the next episode after this, I'm sure we're going to be talking about it, and I'm sure you guys got a lot of questions for us. So if there's any questions about Perfect Match, make sure you submit them on the website so we can get to them and answer your burning questions. But you guys are the best. Thank you so much for listening to Boyfriend Material. Make sure you rate us 5 stars. Make sure you tell your friends about it. And if you post on Instagram, I'll most likely repost it. So I love you guys. Peace.